Everyone, this is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and I'm here today with a special guest. We have Sodek, Dredge Master, here on this channel. He's going to give us the insight into Dredge, why he has mastered the deck, and why maybe you should pick up Dredge as well. And if you want to see more interviews like this, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, Sodek, for showing up here. How have you been doing anyway? We go a long way back. I mean, he's from Poland. I learned from the Polish players. Those are the FNMs that they obliterated me in to make me the player that I am today.
Yeah, it was actually quite nice. Maybe even not nice, but very funny for me, because I remembered you when your journey with Modern begins. Began, yeah, it's like a past, yeah, and you tried different decks, and I was keep playing Storm or Ad Nauseam, and I remember a great game when you played Boggles. You had your 10 free kill with Boggles, which is very rare, but I decided to have my own 10 free kill.
Yeah,
and it was with Pyromaster Ascension Gitaxian Pro version of deck, which was little bit slower, so it's not like nowadays when we have barrel gifts and 10 free on the spot. The 10 free kills were very unique, and I remember when you just decided to keep buying Merfolks, and when you are here,
yeah. I started with Boggles, and you know what? Like I didn't beat anything, and it turns out everyone had Spellskite in their deck.
Yeah,
every deck had Spellskite. I'm like, oh my god, I lose to the Spellskite every single time. What the hell with this? I'm gonna play something else. I'm gonna play Merfolk. Yeah, and I didn't look back since. All right, so you've picked up Dredge. So let us all know, why do you love Dredge? Why Dredge?
Yeah, it's like a very interesting story, because I love Dredge from the beginning, but it wasn't my first contact with Dredge. Wasn't in Modern. I started my competitive Magic career playing Legacy, not Standard or Limited or something. It was like a group of players who had a lot of cards but didn't have players to play.
Right.
And they said, yeah, we can borrow you anything you want, just come and play with us. So I just decided, yeah, sure, why just, I can just play Legacy. And I started playing some Degenerate combo decks, because I just love them. And I found that Dredge is a very unique version of Magic. It's actually not 100% Magic, in my opinion.
Unique is a good, nice way of putting it.
Yeah, it's like a... I can say that I'm playing Magic because I'm using Magic the Gathering cards, but that's it.
Right.
Yeah, Dredge is my favorite mechanic. When I was playing Modern, I also love Modern as a format. I tried Jeskai Ascendancy, Combo Storm, Second Sunrise. Oh, I love Second Sunrise so much. Amulet Titan and so on. But
yeah, you are. I should express so much that you are a combo player at heart. You've always been playing combo. I mean, a long time ago, I remember you were playing Storm, you were playing Ad Nauseam, you were playing Amulet, Titan, and then you finally settled on Dredge, and only Dredge.
Yeah, but because I really love the mechanic from Legacy, but I couldn't play it in Modern, and when Priced Amalgam and Solid Neonate were printed, I decided to jump on the hype train.
Okay.
Here I am, yeah. When they printed Cataric Reunion, the deck was busted. When they banned Golgari Grave Troll, and it was like my 5th ban of my decks, because they banned me Sitting Song, Second Sunrise, Summer Bloom, Treasure Cruise, and so on. So I was like, yeah,
all your cards.
Yeah, sure, another ban, whatever. But it turns out that Dredge is still powerful, because it's like the best card advantage engine game, even without your best cards. So I keep playing it. I just wanted to master it, to play the best what I can. And
it shows. It shows in your results, because even after they banned Golgari Grave Troll, Dredge actually shrunk to like almost 0% of the meta, but the person who kept winning was you. you kept winning. You kept winning, and
Yeah,
consistently.
I was.
Like you were winning modern challenges and still top 8ing them and publishing the list on a regular basis.
I won 2 modern challenges so far. I top 8'd another 2 maybe. I still don't have any very big result on Grand Prix. Or for example, 300, 400 people and came, for example, on MKM series. It's like a Star City Games, but in Europe. And I ended up second. So I had some bigger results, but not on a Grand Prix level. So I maybe one day.
It's just a matter of time, you know. It's just a matter of grinding.
Yeah, maybe, but you know, I'm not that hard spike. I'm not sacrificing everything just to make the top 8. I was on the Pro Tour already, so I did my one goal.
Yeah,
to
been there, done that.
So right now it's more like play what you like,
right.
And keep winning.
Okay, excellent. So, what do you think? What kind of person do you think would like to play Dredge? What kind of person do you need to be to that this deck would be for?
I think that it will be the best for a player who likes playing outside the box Magic, because it's very tricky to play. If someone was starting in playing standard or drafts, Dredge is a completely different game. So you just have to adapt to this new environment and try to learn once again what's about Magic at all, Dredge Magic, yeah. And I also think that modern Dredge is for people who love solving puzzles, because the deck is quite complicated and there are a lot of decisions during games. They are very small. For example, if you have decisions what land you're playing, if you are cracking fashion or not, if you are returning your creatures, or if you are going on a try to kill very fast or try to grind. It's very complicated, and it's like a never-ending puzzle. Like I'm playing this deck from the beginning of its existence in Modern, and it's still very interesting to me to keep playing, to keep finding new lines, new sideboard strategies, and so on.
Right. Hey, just a quick question. What do you think are your personal contributions to Dredge?
I don't know if I understand the question, but
like your own innovations to the deck.
Okay, my innovations. So, okay, from the beginning or from the last? Maybe it will be
whenever.
Easier. Okay, so from the my last results, like I think I designed Mind as a sideboard technology.
Okay.
For anti-combo decks. I actually was the first player who made 5-0 with Creeping Chills. I decided to maybe with help with Zen Takahashi, Lishitian, and Mati Kuizma, we were talking a lot about configuration, because this first build of Dredge with Creeping Chills was very inconsistent. It had free conflict rates without Darkmoor Salvage, 19 lands, and so on. So we were trying to adapt this deck to be more consistent. So that configuration with 2 conflict rates, not playing Darkmoor Salvage, playing City of Brass, and maybe 1 Rainbow Land and 1 Gemstone Mine. It was also my idea. Playing Shriekcorn, like people before played Insolent Neonate, and it was probably Dazzalot 179 who tried it first, and I was thinking, yeah, maybe it's a good idea. I tried it, it was really good, so I just popularized his idea. And also dumping Sphere in sideboard, something like this. I I think that I found out some new technology for the deck.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like thinking about whole archetype, but it's like giving some tiny edges to modern metagame.
Well, that's the aspects of being a master, finding the tiny edges, taking the deck from, you know, its baseline and pushing it a little bit further to get those extra edges over other people who are playing it for the first time or jumping from one deck to another. Hey, you know, talking about Creeping Chill, how obvious was that card? How obvious was it that that was going to be a main deck card? Like, that was definitely going into Dredge.
Like when I saw it on spoiler, it was like your my first idea was maybe it can be okay, but then I realized what this card does. It's for 0 mana, uncounterable.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, sure, maybe we should start with 4 off. I remember that when I was on Grand Prix Prague when I saw it. It was like I was going to Mati quiz my this card is really good. We should maybe consider playing it. And he was like, maybe it's okay, maybe as a one-off, as a two-off. And it turns out that right now I'm siding out priced amalgams instead of creeping cheese because they are just better.
Okay.
So yeah, this card is just bonkers.
Okay, so why do you, I know you love combo, but why do you prefer Dredge over, say, Storm, over, say, Ad Nauseam, over, say, Amulet these days? All decks that all see, I mean, Storm and Amulet seeing a lot of resurgence right now.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot about why I like this type of decks, and I realized that I just really like seeing a lot of cards during game. I like the to repeat over and over again the same play patterns, and Dredge gives me this ability to learn my lines, even if it's a very big decision tree, but I can still learn my lines and execute the best possible game plan. And if I'm dredging, I will eventually see my whole library, so it's quite easy for me to fight it.
So very consistent, very consistent deck.
Yeah, I like consistency. Maybe consistency is in form of what you are doing, because Dredge is a type of glass cannon, because sometimes you have 14 power on turn 2, and sometimes on turn 4 you have 1 Narcomoeba. Yeah. Your draws are not very great, but eventually, your draws, your game plan will work. So for me, it's a matter of, when I'm playing, it's a matter of time to execute my own game plan.
Right. All right. So, what do you think are the specific advantages, the strengths of Dredge?
It's a great game on deck.
Okay. What's the win percentage?
I think it's easy over 70%. Like right now with Creeping Chill era, I'm 66% on NTGO, maybe 67, something like this. And like I have 55 post sideboard, so it's quite easy to I just haven't checked it for today.
Okay, so that's fine. So great game 1 deck.
Yeah, great game on deck. You can overpower like nearly close to every deck in the format. If you can play your game, you are just, it's raw power, because deck is just very powerful. Deck has magical button, means I win a game.
Right.
If your matchup is bad, for example, you're playing versus combo deck which doesn't care about value you're producing, you still can have your turn 3 win and win, like whatever, you try to do your nice thing, but I want to die roll 1 or turn 3 and so on. And I really love that Dredge is very good at grinding. It's the best card advantage engine in game design, so So I like that feeling when you're playing and you know that you will eventually grind anyone. For example, you are playing versus Giant or like kind of blue-white control. They play walkers and whatever, because I played one land, and one land means for me 10 power on board. So
Right.
so that's why.
Okay, so what would you say are Dredge's weaknesses?
Yeah, because Dredge is playing very hard from graveyard. If anyone want to beat Dredge, they will do this. Because if you're packing a lot of grave hate to your sideboard, Dredge can't do anything, and it will be like a very, very bad draft deck. So, so if people are prepared, Dredge can lose to everything and everyone. Also, the biggest weakness is with, maybe not the biggest, the big weakness is glass cannon type of play, because sometimes you have 7 after 7, maybe you mulligan one or two, but you have two tournaments when you keep mulliganing to 5 to 4 and try to find your good hands, but sometimes your deck does not cooperate with you, and you just lose. So
right,
you have to have a good mindset to play it, because it is very easy to say, yeah, this deck is very bad because I lost 2 tournaments in a row. Yeah, but that's the nature of this deck. Yeah, sometimes you just draw your 7, draw your 6, see nothing, and scoop. Yeah,
right.
So yeah, that's probably the biggest weaknesses.
So what makes this deck strong enough to compete in a constantly changing modern metagame, to master it and then stick with it in the long run?
Raw power, probably, because you have this I win the game button.
Yep.
You can beat anything and anyone, and people can't have, maybe they can, but if people want to win in modern, they can't dedicate a lot of sideboard slots just to one archetype. So if we have like 30 or 40 decks in modern right now, it's very hard for them to, for example, sacrifice 4 of his 15 slots just to fight Dredge. So from time to time, people will have lower number of cards to fight you, and when tournaments are really nice to play, because you're doing your thing and no one is saying anything about it. So
right. So you gotta have maybe like an affinity type mentality, in that, you know, you're just gonna keep playing this deck and you just have to hope that this tournament they're not running Stony Silence. Yeah,
but in Dredge is like Stony Silence is very narrow. Only white decks can play it.
Right.
If you want to destroy Dredge, you can just play, for example, 3 cages, 2 relics, and so on. And you can just play 4 Lane of Devoids in every deck. So, like, yesterday I played versus Red Prison, who decided to not lose to Dredge, and he played turn 0 Leyline into turn 1 Gravedigger's Cage in Moderate Prison. So, and he's an Ensnaring Bridge deck, so if he can't play his cards from hand, so they will just lose. But the guy on the chat said that he hates Dredge, and he really wants to beat this. So he dedicated 6 sideboard slots just to beat one deck. Yeah, he beat me, but I don't know how he ended his league. So.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so how big of an edge do you think from mastering this one deck, if you compare yourself to your peers? Like, you're stuck to this one deck. Like you said, you've been recording, or I don't know if we mentioned this in the podcast, but in your local metagame, you've been recording the win rates of all the players.
Maybe not exactly me, but we have
there's really, like a league sort of set up.
Yeah, kind of like we have a great community inside our local game store, and there are people who keep track of results. And when I'm playing, of course, I'm playing different decks from time to time just to see if they are maybe better than Dredge, or maybe they're just more fun to play. It turns out not. Dredge is just.
Oh, I think we're losing you for a second.
Also at GR, I'm very happy with my results, so I just don't want to switch. About Edge, I think Dredge is because compared to Dredge in Vintage, when you just mulligan to Bazaar of Baghdad and try to do things, or to Legacy when you have your turn 1 or turn 2 stuff. And it's very powerful, but also very fragile. So if your opponent has something, you're generally losing. In Modern, your games are much more grindy. You can win more because of your decisions. For example, Life of the Loam engine gives you this unique ways of attack because you can build actual card advantage in cards, not only in effects on board.
Right.
So you can adapt to what your opponent is doing. So, like I said, decision tree is very, very big. So if you are patient, if you want to learn how this deck works, it's very rewarding to play this one exact type of deck. Just to learn your lines, understand what's your role in a matchup. And probably the most important, how to sideboard, because like a lot of people are, probably many people.
Yeah, of course.
People are texting to me, for example, what should I sideboard or something like this, and it's a real problem for people because deck is so different from others. But siding strategy is very important because on the you want to fight hate, also you want to fight your opponent's game plan, but on the other hand you can't sideboard a lot of cards. For example, you can't side in 8 cards and hope that's enough. That's enough. So you just have to really understand what you want to do and execute your main game plan.
Okay, so how do you deal with powerful sideboard cards? In which situations do you want to attack their sideboard cards? In what situations do you want to attack their game plan?
Yeah, it's very complex question because there are different types of sideboard cards to beat Dredge. For example, I can separate them to hard graveyard hate and soft graveyard hate.
Okay.
Hard graveyard hate, it's a card when if your opponent has this card, your deck cannot function. For example, Lane of the Void, Rest in Peace, Gravedigger's Cage. Yeah, that's the best of the cards for a hard graveyard hate. And and then you have decision tree. Do you want to fight it, or do you want to ignore and, like in Legacy and Vintage style, hope that they won't have it? For example, and it's even hard to say about what card you should do. For example, you are playing versus Jant, and they can play Leyline, but you don't know it. So, should you side in Nature's Claims just because they maybe can have Leylines, or you should just hope that they won't have it and focus on killing creatures, because also Scavenging Ooze or, for example, Kalitas can be a problem.
Right.
It's about hard hate. It's decision. Can you destroy hard hate and then win a game afterwards, or is siding in 4 otherwise useless cards is too costly for you to actually do this? For example, if you are siding Nature's Claims, you're drawing 1 or 2 of them, and your opponent doesn't have Leyline, and then start with Fossis, your game line is kind of destroyed. So it's very tricky. It's hard to say, like, to give you a golden solution to this.
Sure,
Generally speaking, I try to fight hate. For example, I have Nature's claims to Lane of the Void, also claims to fight Rest in Peace. I have Ancient Mirages to fight Gravedigger's Cage. Of course, I have to play it from hand, not from graveyard. And if you really want to fight their Grave Hate and their game plan, because the game plan is very hard, for example, versus Band Spirits, it's very easy to fall into trap when you are responding to Grave Hate and then losing to regular stuff. For example, they play turn 1 Maelstrom Wanderer and you cannot play your Faithless Looting. When they play Rest in Peace, you have to keep waiting with Nature's Claim to destroy it. You have to sacrifice another turn just to destroy it. They are already Spell Queller up, and then they can just beat you in a regular way. So against hard hate, it's important to know when you have to accept that you will lose to Grave Hate and when you can fight it. About soft hate is easier because if your opponent has Surgical Extraction, you just say, yeah, whatever, you had Surgical Extraction, and life goes on. About Relic of Progenitus and the type of cards, you can easily break this. For example, you can force your opponent to activate them, and then you can try to reveal. So it's not that scary. It will slow you down, of course, but it's not the end of the world if your opponent plays Relic Go. So yeah, I also think that if you want to compare good Dredge players to great Dredge players, it will be probably sideboard games, because it's a test if you understand your role in a matchup and how you can adapt to these harder situations on board.
Right. Talking about some sideboard cards, you mentioned Nature's Claim, you mentioned Ancient Grudge. What about Assassin's Trophy? I heard that Dredge players were going to jump on Assassin's Trophy, but then you haven't actually mentioned this card at all. What do you think about Assassin's Trophy in the Dredge deck?
I think Assassin's Trophy is a perfect example of trap. On the surface, it looks like it can destroy everything and so on. But when you realize your role in a matchup and when you want to cast your card, you will quickly realize that it's not a great idea. Imagine a situation when you are playing against Jant and you are siding in Assassin's Trophy because you can destroy Leyline and Scavengicus.
And Kalitas.
And Kalitas and Tarmogoyf, whatever you really want. But your opponent plays Leyline on turn 1. You play land passes, you play your land, you can't do anything because of lane and go. When you play, your opponent plays anything, and you play second land, Assassin's Trophy, your lane. But the land you are giving to your opponent is a real pain, because they will start their turn 3 with 4 mana, and then his regular stuff will kill you. For example, you are destroying lane, and they can, when I was testing Assassin's Trophy, the worst feeling ever was destroying Leyline. They got another land, and then play 4th land, played Leyline, say go. Yeah, sure. Great game of Magic, yeah. This extra land you are giving to your opponent is very costly for us, because compared to, for example, black-green midrange, when black-green midrange has many discard spells, removals, and so on, they can play his Assassin's Trophy as a last removal spell without you're not giving your opponent another resources to work with. Compared to Dredge, when you have this only one card to interact, it's much harder to negate this extra land from Assassin's Trophy. So I tested it and just wasn't good enough.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, what do you think of your, Warser? What do your peers think about
Mm-hmm.
your dedication to one archetype?
Mm, some some of my friends say that I should change my decks. Um, like I'm trying, yeah. I'm trying. For example, I tried Bridgevine, I tried Hollow One, and so on. But my win percentage for example, I think right now
Could
the
you
case
repeat
I
that? We lost you. Your win percentage.
is my win percentage is just higher with Dredge,
Okay.
so why should I change it? Yeah. Right now, I think that yeah, I'm here because there was a lag or something. Uh, like now, I think that for example, KCI is really good deck. Yeah, I
Hmm.
think it's probably the best deck in the format.
I guess
And
Canister
yeah,
has
yeah,
is shoving in
yeah,
your
like
face.
yeah. But from my perspective, like just the time I spent to learn Dredge and it wasn't like a 2 week journey. It took a lot of months of play to actually learn this deck. And if I imagine that I have to play out these hours one more time to learn inside out another archetype, uh, I just don't feel that I need to switch. So some of my friends say, yeah, you should switch and so on, but I don't feel that I should because if I keep winning, maybe not keep winning, but if I can win a tournament from time to time and I have really good results, why should I change it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, so you let's go over maybe the common mistakes that players make. What is the most common mistake beginners make when they pick up Dredge?
Beginners probably not understanding what actually Dredge is because like it's very easy to say that the Dredge is a combo deck because you are doing very unique thing. So many people are saying that you are a combo deck, but that's actually not true. Dredge is more like an aggro deck with a combo button, combo finish.
Hmm.
So when people are not understanding exactly what they should do, they are making a lot of mistakes because of it, because they are trying to be as explosive as possible and sacrificing consistency and sacrificing um, ability to rebuild from in post-sideboard games from hate, for example. Yeah, probably that's the most common mistake. Maybe also over sideboard. Over sideboard is actually it's also it's not like only beginners. Yeah, beginners are making these mistakes. People tend to over sideboard. People tend to fight against everything they want, and it's very hard for them to accept that they just lose to one card. For example, I watched Jim Davis video with Dredge when he like it was in like 5 days ago or something, and he was siding in versus Band Spirits, and he sided a lot of lightning access, for probably 4 or 5 responses to Rest in Peace and so on. And when he ended in a situation when he had Faithless Looting and Nature's Claim, and he was like, oh, should I wait? Should I wait? And he waited a turn. Opponent played probably Supreme Phantom, and he was like, okay, I just have to go for it. He played his Faithless Looting one turn later, then got tripped. So
Right,
so
right.
whatever, yeah. Like he has his response, but it just didn't matter because how Rest in Peace works. Don't get me wrong. I think Jim Davis is a really good player, but there was a showing how not understanding your role in a matchup and how hate cards attack you. ended as a bad sideboard strategy, and this bad sideboard strategy ended as this percentage points you are giving away to win game of Magic.
Excellent. And so we might have brushed on this a little bit earlier, but what is separating very good Dredge players from becoming master level Dredge players?
Just like I said, this understanding is the key.
So that like the philosophy of Dredge is very important.
Philosophy of Dredge, yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah, I think that when I'm talking to, for example, Mati Kuzma, he won a Grand Prix with Dredge. Like we have very different opinions about cards, and for example, he really likes deck more salvage, and I hate this land. But when I'm talking to him, I feel that he understands exactly a role in each matchup. For example, he knows when he needs to be very fast, when he can side in responses to opponents' game plan, and so on. And when he have to say, yeah, sure, go for it, whatever. If he has it, he has it. It's like a little like a vintage and legacy style. Sometimes you have to close your eyes and just go for it. Yeah, exactly like this. So, yeah, I think that this lack of understanding understanding is the biggest mistake in these good players who want to go to another level.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you very much, Sodek, for doing this interview, and it's great to see you again. And if you want the best Dredge content on the internet, you have to follow this guy on Twitch. You can see his Twitch channel below his name. So again, thank you very much, Sodek, for doing this. I hope everyone else out there liked it.
Thank you for this interview. It was very nice and very interesting to do that kind of stuff.
You're welcome. So anyway, this has been Nikachu with Sodek, Dredge Master, letting you know the insights of Dredge and Modern.